today I've already introduced myself, like I said. So I'm this IELTS study buddy for Synergy International Nursing Network, the one that oversees all issues concerning IELTS. And like I've already said to you, I am an IELTS certified tutor. And the good thing about me being the tutor is not just the fact that I'm registered or like I'm a trained tutor, but the fact that I'm also experienced in what I do. So I've, just like yourself, I've gone through this process. I've been a nurse who needed to take the IELTS. Not to meet the registration requirements of the UK as well as Ireland. So yes, I know how you feel. So what is the IELTS? The IELTS is a recognized acronym for International English Language Testing System. It is a test that is used to measure your English language proficiency in 4 English skills. So these 4 English skills include reading, writing, listening, and then speaking. Your language level is then assessed on a band of on a 9-banded scale. So you're being assessed for like 0 to 9. So with 0 or being no user at all, that would be quite impossible. So 1 being a non-English user and 9 being an expert English user. The test is very essential, especially if you do need to begin your journey into work or education in another country. It's generally accepted both in the UK, in Ireland, in Canada, in America, just worldwide, Australia, New Zealand. The IELTS is the most recognized form of English proficiency test. So most people, if you want to go into education or you want to go migrate, I'm going to focus on nursing migration because most people on the platform are nurses. So if you do want to migrate into nursing and migrate abroad to practice nursing abroad, the IELTS is essential to do this. And then it's essential for you to prove your English language proficiency skills and then obtain an internationally recognized certificate of your language competency. Now, most questions we tend to ask, we tend to get asked a lot, which is one of the main reasons why we're doing this masterclass, is people are confused and they go like, what route do I take? Do I need to write the academic IELTS or do I need to write the general IELTS? So if you're on this platform, like we've gone through the process, we've checked your registration, and majority of you are either nurses or midwives. So if you're on this platform, then I don't want you to think about the general IELTS. All I want you to bear in your mind is the academic IELTS, because the academic IELTS is the one and only route that is acceptable for academic purposes. So people will ask, why the academic? I've heard the academic is more difficult than the general. Yes, that's true. The academic IELTS is more challenging than the general IELTS. This is because the general can be for anybody to take for various purposes, while the academic IELTS is mainly for professional and academic purposes. So if you're migrating from Nigeria to the UK to take your BSc in nursing or your master's in nursing, you do need academic IELTS, because that's what you need it for, an academic purpose. And also, if you're migrating for the purpose of professional registration, you need it for professional purposes. So that means the academic. So what I want you to bear in mind and take away from this slide is, for the purpose of the IELTS, everyone on this platform, what you need is the academic IELTS. Now, let's get a little bit of summary about what the test is. So like I said earlier, the test has 4 sections. It tests you on 4 skills. So your reading skill, your speaking skill, your written English, as well as your listening proficiency. For the purpose of this presentation, I'm going to center my attention on academic IELTS, because like I said, none of you will be needing the general IELTS. So I'll start with the writing. The writing is most commonly the first part of the test. It consists of 2 sections, the task 1 and the task 2. In the task 1, you're required to summarize a graphic information. So this could be bar charts, pie chart, graphs, histogram, processes, cycles, maps as well. And you're required to write a minimum of 150 words in this section of the test. The part two on the second hand is more comprehension essay kind of passage. There are various type of essay you'll be required to write. It could be descriptive, it could be narrative, it could be opinion based, and it could be argumentative. And you're expected to write a minimum of 250 words. And this section lasts for 60 minutes for both sections, for both tasks. Now let's go forward to talk about the listening. The listening it consists of 4 sections. So the part 1, the part 2, the part 3, and the part 4. It lasts for 30 minutes. Can I ask that you put yourself on mute, interrupt the test, please, because I could hear your noise on the background. Thank you. So talking about the listening, we've got 4 sections of the part 1, the part 2, the part 3, and the part 4, and this lasts for 30 minutes. What you're expected to achieve in the listening is you're giving there's a recording played on the background, and then you've got 30 minutes to answer this. So you answer your question as you listen along. So what you do is you write your answers on the question paper, and then you have an extra 10 minutes at the end of the section to transfer your answers onto your answer sheet. So that is 40 minutes in total for this section. Now, the big tip of this listening is just take a little bit of time to scan through the question with that 30 seconds to 1 minute that you're giving the questions before the listening records start playing, because this gives you an idea, it gives you an overview of what to look out for. Now, talking about the speaking, the academic reading, the academic reading is it's mainly the most challenging part for some people, but people are different. I've come to realize that some students are better with the reading and others are better with the writing, but it's normally conflicting between these two parts. But most people, majority of people will find the reading more challenging, because when you hear reading, you're like, oh yeah, it's reading English. It can't be that difficult, right? But then when you start the program and you go, oh my God, I didn't see that coming. So it's quite complex, and you require specific detailed kind of skills to achieve this. One of these is the skill of paraphrasing, is the skill of understanding, is the skill of skimming and scanning. This is all this is all we discuss further and more in-depthly in the IELTS study body class that lasts for 5 weeks. So we'll go ahead and pick one of these and elaborate on these to give you idea on how to master this. The reading is a whole passage containing three articles. Trust me, it's a really big passage, and then you have to answer 4 questions. And normally it is believed that the level of complexity of this question, or how difficult they are, tend to increase as you go further. The answers are not in a chronological order, so you need quite a lot of skills to be able to achieve a good band score, or your required band score in this section. And finally, we got the speaking. So the speaking is the last part of the test. Sometimes it's written on the same day with the entire IELTS. Other times you might be scheduled a day before, or a day after, or a week before, 2 weeks before, depending on the availability. This is my favorite part of the test. I don't know, I keep saying to students, this is my favorite part of the test, and students are like, oh my God, I don't like it. Because naturally we don't like to be talked to, we don't like interview processes. But trust me, if you know your onion, this is the easiest part for you to just scale through. It also has 3 sections, the section 1, section 2, and section 3 as well. And again, the level of complexity increases with chronologically as it goes high, and this lasts for just 14 to 13 minutes. As we go forward, I will tell you why that's my favorite part of the test. Now, let's talk briefly about the academic writing. So the academic writing literally focuses on 3 things to assess you. So it's assessing your written English, it's assessing your logical flow of ideas, and your writing structures. So I'll go further to talk about the written English. So how well you've got good vocabulary, good grammatical composition, how you can make grammatically correct sentences, how you can link ideas. I'd just like to emphasize that the IELTS writing does not really mark you, or it's not really assessing what your opinion is. It doesn't go, oh, this is a good opinion. It's not looking at your opinion, but it's looking at your written English, how even if it's not looking at exactly your opinion. So by I mean there's no right or wrong answer. So say for instance, you are asked to You're asked to write about what your opinion is about car emission and global warming. It doesn't care if there's no correct answer to like, okay, this is not true or this is true. It just, what it's required of you is how you generate your ideas, how you structure your writing, and then how you put them into place. So talking about the IELTS Task 1, the IELTS Task 1, like I said earlier, you're required to summarize a graphic information. So this could be a chart, a table, it could be a map, it could be a diagram, it could be a process. One key thing about the writing Task 1 is your structure. Remember I said your writing structure is very paramount. How I like to encourage students to write it is to have an introduction, which will then link to an overview. So you can merge your introduction and your overview together as paragraph 1, and then you get the second paragraph, which is your body, and the third paragraph, which is your also an ending part of your body. It could be a supporting idea or all that. But try as much as it does. You don't really, the data, you don't really need to have a conclusion for a task one, but if you have, that's fine as well. You're not going to fail for that. So how I like to arrange it is in your introduction, you are paraphrasing the question. You see why I said paraphrasing is a very important key in the entire IELTS. So that's one aspect that we do emphasize a lot on, and we do go deep into during the IELTS Study Body 5 weeks training course. And the overview again is you're writing a general overview of what the main features are. For example, you say from an overview perspective, this graph summarizes that men eat more fast food as compared to women. And then on the body, say paragraph 1, pick one idea. So one problem while your writing becomes crap is when you're packing too many ideas in one paragraph, and then remember that logical flow and logical idea, it is lost because at that point in time you're unable to carry your reader along. So try as much. So if you're being asked 10 reasons or 10 reasons for obesity, if you're being asked to talk about the reasons for obesity, pardon me, rather than talking about 10 reasons for obesity, why not just pick 3 or 2 reasons for obesity and then explain them in-depthly, backing them up with logical and physical examples. So what you should think about before you write your task 1, read the task and understand what you're expected to do, have a mental summary of the trend and everything. And as you write, keep your introduction concise, short, having an overview, straight to the point, captivating and interesting. Try as much as possible to make sure you reduce grammatical errors and sentence errors, and do not write in abbreviation. So, and sometimes, because one big thing is try as much as possible to meet your word count. If you write below the word count, you fail. So it's at least 150 words. Let it be 150 words, or you can go a maximum of 10% above. So that would be like 160. So the word counting, and how we also teach how you can manipulate your word count, practice your word count, and make sure you get really good with your word counting. Now the task 2. The task 2 is very amazing because I really love to tell stories. So I want you to close your eyes and visualize yourself in your primary school when you were being taught about essay writing. Remember that basic principle of introduction, body, conclusion. Good news, that's the stance. But just show a little bit more how developed you've gone. So introduction, what are you doing? You're paraphrasing the task. And then one big thing is in your introduction, try to make it short, concise, straight to the point, captivating, and stating your opinion. So make sure, if you're not sure where to start, you can start by paraphrasing the question. Again, paraphrasing is a big deal, but I can't go further to talk about it in the masterclass. You will need the 5-week program to get deep into all of this concept. You can start by paraphrasing your question, and then make sure you end by stating your opinion, definitely in the introduction. And then the next paragraph will be a paragraph form. It gets your supporting paragraph. So it's literally explaining why, or giving the reason why, or giving whatever, and then backing it up with example. You could literally give realistic example applicable to you. And then try to have a little bit of summary of what you're talking about in that paragraph. Repeat the same in paragraph 2. And also there's something called critical analysis that shows your wide range of vocabulary used. This is another thing we discussed in the class as well. This is something you can push in your paragraph 3, and then your conclusion. Similarly to your introduction, your conclusion should be short, it should be concise, it should be straight to the point, and you should have your final thoughts. Now, going to talk about the reading. The reading, like I said, is very complex. We cannot discuss it in 30 minutes. You need to go in depth with the reading. There's a lot of tips. We've got several tips that will help you with your reading. But the first big thing is familiarize yourself with the concept of paraphrasing again, the use of synonyms, current happenings, and then stories. These help. And then timing is a big deal. Timing is very, very important. The passage can be bulky, it can be overwhelming, it can be overly long. Do not spend a lot of time in one question and thereby losing your time. Timing is a big issue with the reading. So the marking system of the IELTS is not a negative marking, so you don't lose mark for leaving something blank or guessing, but you will lose mark for not you would, so you don't, I would say, rather than wasting your time on something you know you're not getting right, leave that question, go to the next. You can always come back to it at the end, and if you still don't know anything, I just advise you then just guess and put something there, because when you guess and put something, there's every possibility you can get that guess right, but leaving it blank, there's no possibility of getting a mark there. Now, listening. The listening is designed to assess a wide range of your listening skills that are needed in our everyday life. So this ranges from your work, your study, in an English-speaking environment. Now, in order for you to pass your listening test, you're required to show understanding of different types of spoken English in a range of formal and informal context. So I want you to now close your eyes again and visualize yourself in a strange train, and then you've got strangers talking about issues, and just you like to eavesdrop. Nigeria will say something, boy, you're just eavesdropping. Oh, I need to hear what they're talking about. Oh, somebody's talking about the government, somebody's talking about politics, and you're just eavesdropping. Relax, that's what it is. You're required to listen and then feedback what you've listened to. So having said this, what you're being tested on is your ability to understand. So your ability to understand the conversation, ability to develop ideas, and then ability to recognize people's opinion. So normally there are 4 parts in here. It could be like everyday scenario, it could be conversation between a group of people, it could be conversation between 2 people, it could be just a conversation on the phone and all that. So there are lots of helpful tips that will help you with your listening. Well, obviously we cannot discuss all of them on here because of time and restrictions. So that's all what we go in depth to discuss in the 5 weeks class. So talking about the listening, I'll just explain quickly how it works. You've got a headphone or earphone, and then you just got the listening in your ear. One big thing I will mention, though I cannot go further without mentioning this big tip. If by any chance you're in your exam hall and you note that your headphone or your device is not working, please call the attention of the examiner or anybody immediately, and make sure you log in a complaint before you leave there, because this can help with your mark as well, to make them assess you more fairly, to say. And then finally, the speaking. Oh God, I love the speaking. This is my favorite part. So what you're expected to do is you're required to have a discussion or conversation with the IELTS and examiner. Now I want you to close your eye and have a little bit of reflection again. I don't know if you've seen the movie Stranger on the Train. It's a very old movie. Just close your eyes and look at that. Imagine yourself in that on the train, and then you notice people on there and then chatting and talking, and then someone comes on to you and say, oh, can I have a chat with you about something? And then you just start talking to them. So that's what it is. Just relax. It's a conversation. The speaking is really good, and this is where, if you know your onion, this is where you would really come up and show yourself and get eye mark. It deals with your vocabulary, your expression. So body language is a big deal. How you express yourself is a big deal. But there are lots of tips we teach in the class that would improve your speaking skill. But I cannot go further without mentioning this big one, which is the skill of the forbidden that I don't know is a forbidden answer. So, oh, can you tell me about the last time you had a holiday? Oh, I've not really had a holiday and ended. That's forbidden. Close-ended answers is forbidden. Oh, can you tell me, have you been to a holiday? Yes. No, that is big error. You definitely fail. I need to explain what I mean. No, just similarly to the writing, nobody cares about what you're telling them, the opinions on your speaking. What they care about is those questions the examiner is asking you. It's not to mark you wrong or right on what you say. It's just an opportunity, a medium for communication. So if the examiner has asked you something and you just said no or yes, you've removed that medium or that opportunity for communication. Or if they've said, oh, have you been to a holiday, and you just said no, that is, you've removed the medium for communication. So what you can do is, I'll give you a quick example. Can you tell me the last time you were on holiday? Feel free to use feelers. Feelers is another thing we teach about. And you go, actually, that's a great question. To be honest, I've never been into a holiday before, a holiday trip, because really financially I'm not that buoyant. But I like to spend my holidays, I see it as my leisure time, and I like to spend it alone. Sometimes I like to go to the beach, a resource center. You see, you've answered the question and you've given the examiner an opportunity to assess you. So it's an interactive section with topics ranging from you talking about yourself to other aspects of life. And it also consists of three parts. The first part is an interview section, mainly talking about yourself. Second part is an individual long term, where you are expected to do more of the talking. And then the last part is like a two-way discussion, which is the part 3, where the assessor asks question and you're expected to answer. And lastly, we'll talk about, we do teach on vocabulary. Although vocabulary is not a main component that's being assessed on the IELTS, it is very important because you're being assessed on lexical structure, lexical resource, mainly on your speaking and your writing. And for you to have an I-band, you must be able to paraphrase immediately, effectively. You must be able to use a wide range of vocabulary to convey precise meaning of what you're talking about. Less common vocabularies and less common idiomatic expressions, and only make occasional mistake that does not change the meaning of what you're saying. So having said this, you're not, especially in the speaking, you're not being marked on your accent. So if you have an accent, don't worry. Just make sure you're able to pronounce it that is understandable and it does not change the meaning. We also, during our 5-week section, we do go in-depthly to talking on our vocabularies and how you can improve your vocabularies. Finally, how do we do our teaching? We practice the principles of andragogy, where we place your needs at the center of everything. We motivate you. And although it's self-directed learning, your prior learning is taken into consideration. You are motivated by us, and your readiness to learn is improved on. Now, what we go further to do, or what we advise, is for you to, if you're already practicing on yourself, that's great. What I would like you to look into is IELTS writing tip, practical tips for listening, good working tip for speaking, as well as working tip for reading. We have all this as part and parcel of what we do in our 5 weeks program, and because these are what we provide to you is working tips that have been used by people, and they fed back to us that is working really well. Now, what if you do feel like you need help, or you do feel like you need more information on IELTS? You can email us. I'll give you some time to screenshot that information. Email us on that information below. We've got a WhatsApp number and the phone number, and our website, which is on and working now. So thank you so much for attending